All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. You know how we do it around here, taking a closer look at fascinating topics. Today, we're going to be looking at something that's pretty important, something you hear about all the time.
Yeah, this is one of those phrases everybody's heard it, even if you've never had any personal interaction with the legal system, you've heard this phrase.
Exactly. You've heard it on TV, you've heard it in the movies. The right to remain silent, right?
Exactly. And, it's one of those things that it sounds simple enough, right?
Right. It's pretty straightforward.
But the reality, as we're going to find out today, is a little more complicated, a little more nuanced than just keeping your mouth shut.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, we're going to be using a really interesting video. It's actually a really short video, but it packs a lot of information into it. And it uses a skit to kind of demonstrate a big misconception that people have about this whole staying silent thing.
And this is where the Fifth Amendment comes in, right? Everybody knows, I plead the Fifth, I plead the Fifth, but what they don't know is the very specific way you have to invoke that, right?
Yeah, that's what's so fascinating about this video. It really gets into this whole myth versus reality thing. People think, okay, if I'm arrested, I just won't say anything.
Right.
And that'll protect me. And to a certain extent, you are protected by the Fifth Amendment from self-incrimination. But the video makes it very clear that it's not enough to just stay silent.
It's not enough. You have to specifically say, I am invoking my right to remain silent, and I want a lawyer.
And I want a lawyer, right? It's like you have to say this magic phrase.
It really is. It's such a crucial detail that a lot of people they're not aware of. And that lack of awareness, as the video points out, could really come back to bite you.
So why is that so important? Why is it not enough to just, clam up and hope for the best?
Well, you've got to think about the situation you're in, right? You're under arrest, you're probably stressed out, you're being questioned by law enforcement officers, and you decide to stay silent. You think you're doing the right thing, but without that very clear invocation of your right to remain silent and your right to an attorney, the police might interpret that silence as something else.
As what, like guilt or something like that?
Exactly. They might see it as defiance, as, you're trying to hide something. And that ambiguity that can be really dangerous because it gives them room to misinterpret your actions, and that misinterpretation that can be used against you later on.
Okay, so you're saying that saying those specific words, I am invoking my right to remain silent and I want a lawyer, that's what actually triggers the legal obligation for the interrogation to stop.
Absolutely. It's like flipping a switch. You're making it crystal clear that you're exercising your constitutional rights, and at that point, the questioning has to stop.
So in a way, it's not just about knowing your rights, it's about knowing how to use them properly.
Exactly. It's about being able to articulate them clearly and unequivocally in a way that leaves no room for doubt.
Now, the video gives a really interesting example to kind of illustrate this point. It talks about how misinterpreted silence could actually be used against someone in court. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so imagine a scenario where someone's been brought in for questioning about, let's say, a fight they were involved in, and they choose to stay silent during the interrogation. They're thinking, I'm not going to say anything that could incriminate myself, but they don't explicitly invoke their right to remain silent.
Right.
So the investigators, they keep pushing, they keep asking questions, and they might start to interpret that silence as a sign of guilt, like, okay, this person's not talking, they must be hiding something. And then later on down the line, when this case goes to court, the prosecutor might actually use that silence against the defendant.
How would they do that?
Well, they might say something like, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if this person was truly innocent, why didn't they speak up during the interrogation? Why didn't they try to explain themselves? You see how that silence can be twisted into something it's not.
That's crazy. I mean, that's a really powerful example of how important those specific words are. It's not just about saying something, it's about saying the right thing.
Exactly. It's about understanding the legal weight of those words and using them strategically to protect yourself.
And the video really emphasizes the importance of sharing this information with others, spreading awareness about this.
Yeah, they actually have a call to action at the end of the video, encouraging people to share it with their friends and family.
Get the word out.
Get the word out, because you never know who might need this information.
I really appreciate, content creators who can take these really complex legal topics and break them down into something that's easy to understand and that's, actually entertaining to watch.
Oh, absolutely. They're doing a real public service, I think.
Yeah. Now, the video focuses specifically on the right to remain silent. But what about the right to an attorney? I mean, what happens after you invoke those rights?
Well, once you've invoked your right to an attorney, the police cannot question you further without your lawyer present.
Okay.
That's the whole point. It ensures that you have legal counsel there to guide you through the process to protect you from any potential, manipulation or coercion.
So it's really about having someone in your corner who understands the law and you make sure your rights are being respected.
Exactly. And, it's important to remember that the right to an attorney that applies to every stage of the criminal justice process, not just the interrogation, you know?
So if you're arrested, if you're being questioned, if you're appearing in court, you have the right to have an attorney with you.
Absolutely, and it's crucial that you exercise that right.
So to be clear, it's not just about, shutting up. It's about strategically using your words to activate those protections.
Precisely, and it's about understanding the power of those words and wielding them effectively.
This whole conversation really makes you think about how many legal phrases we throw around in everyday conversation without really fully grasping their implications.
It's true, you hear these phrases all the time on TV and movies, but do we really understand what they mean in a practical sense?
Right. It makes you wonder, what other legal rights do we think we understand? But, maybe we're totally misinterpreting them.
Yeah, it's a sobering thought, and it really highlights how important legal literacy is. It's not just for lawyers or judges or people who are in trouble with the law.
It's for everyone.
It's for everyone. It's about being an informed citizen. It's about understanding your rights and responsibilities under the law.
And knowing how to advocate for yourself.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to something as important as your legal rights.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, we've got plenty other deep dives into all sorts of fascinating topics, so be sure to check those out and keep that curiosity burning.
Keep learning, folks. Knowledge is power.
And that's it for this deep dive. Catch you next time.
See you later.